What up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Pretty Girl Progression Podcast. I am your girl, Sherelle. If you are new here, welcome. I hope you stay. And if you've been here before, girl, welcome back. Tell a friend to tell a friend, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Now, ladies, I have created something super special for you, which is a free ebook. It is 10 tips to personal development. We talk everything from doing your mirror work to grounding and overall just self-love. And I've also added a daily devotional, 30-day daily devotional where we mix everything from affirmations, because the power of the tongue is so real, and some biblical verses and a special message from me to you. So you can pick this up at www.prettygirlprogression.com today. And I'm all about transparency. So listen, everything helps support the channel and for me to put on future events for you. So help a girl out, okay? Buy something today. Now, y'all, I have an extremely special guest. I have been following this queen on socials for the past 2 years. I am just amazed by her energy through the phone. Not only, I have a little rundown for you, okay? Not only is she an entrepreneur, a life coach, an astrologer. They would call her the Zodiac Queen. She is super magnetic, and she also has a goddess school. Okay? Y'all give a round of applause, a big round of applause for Baby J.
Hello, my love. Thank you so much for having me here. I appreciate you, and I love your energy, and I'm excited to chat and to talk.
Yes, I've been super excited to talk to you because you've really shown the growth and progression of your channel, and I want people to kind of dive into who you are and on top of what you offer as well. Mm-hmm. So I just want to start off with, what does pretty girl progression mean or sound like to you?
Pretty girl progression.
Yeah, when you hear something like that, what comes to mind?
What comes to mind is ultimately honoring your divine beauty and allowing yourself to expand from that standpoint. Beauty is, I just made a video about this actually so recently. Beauty itself it's an energy, it's a spirit in a sense. When we take care of ourselves, when we nurture ourselves, when we love ourselves, when we self-care, that energy that we give to ourselves has no choice but to overflow. So when it overflows in that love, you're going to attract more, you're going to evolve more. And I think that's where the progression would come through. So that's what I think when I hear that.
You are spot on. I love everything about that response. Yeah. So for people who don't know Jaelyn, which is your real name, or Baby J, tell me, what was it like being Baby J, literally, growing up?
Oh my goodness. Baby J. So there was definitely different layers and different levels of, myself and what I was doing and who I was. I would say when I was young, I've always been very spiritual. So I was the kind of kid that was just kind of by herself, just looking and observing things and just taking everything in. I was always super, super just in tune with everything. I would have all kinds of crazy dreams, and I was super intuitive, and I was always just very tapped in on a different level. And because of that, I actually was very, very shy. I was super shy. I was super anxious because it felt like I could just feel everything around me times 25. And it was a lot. It actually caused me to close in and kind of just be more to myself. And at some point, I realized that I had so much to share. I had so much to share. I had so many thoughts, so many opinions, so many different things that I just realized. And at some point, one day, my mom and dad, they gave me a camera for Chris. I think it was one of those cheap cameras from the store.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then from there, I fell in love with content creation. I just fell in love with creating content and putting myself out there it wasn't even really a thing back then. Like, so I started like my YouTube channel when I was like 14, but I was creating content just for myself and just loving doing that. I'm just, I was very creative and just putting myself out there, even within myself. And then once I started my YouTube, then I started to share that with the world and to share my thoughts with the world and having fun. So I would say, as a kid, I was definitely shy, but it was like content creation that got me outside of my comfort zone and wanting to express and wanting to be more out there. And then my teens, I definitely had, some challenges, definitely growing up. I had some insecurities, you know what I'm saying?
As we all do, yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
had some toxic situations,
Which teach us
even
so
like
much.
exactly, even like confronting certain traumas that I went through and healing through those things. And it's been a journey.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, because you mentioned your dreams,
Yeah.
right? And to me, you've always exuded like you have this spiritual armor about yourself. You talk about the dreams and just manifesting a lot.
Yeah.
What did that even look like? Are you an only child?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, so what did that look like as a dreamer? Because I'm a dreamer. I feel like I get a lot of messages through my dream. What was that like as a child, having these dreams and you looking back on it now and being like, oh, wow, this meant that and that meant this? What was that?
Yeah.
Did you talk to your parents about it, or did you kind of keep it in?
I kept a lot of things to myself, and sometimes I would share things with like my mom and like tell her about certain things and to be like, Mom, I just had this dream about this. And then sometimes my mom would just be like, you knew that was going to happen, or how you knew we were planning that?
Mm-hmm.
So I think they were kind of freaked out sometimes.
I'm sure.
But yeah, for the most part, I spent a lot of time just kind of closed in. Not, I wouldn't say closed in like, but more so just not sharing as much of those thoughts with other people, just keeping it to myself. And then as I got older, I realized that, especially before like 2020 and stuff, I feel like after 2020, everybody got into the energy
Yeah.
frequency and stuff like that. So it's like, before then, I wasn't really speaking too much about it openly because I was afraid of what people think, or like, I'm like, oh, I think I'm weird or woo woo or like whatever the case is. But I started to write down my dreams, and I started to really write down my dreams every morning. And, I've found that that actually helps to honestly see certain patterns, and then you start to decode your dreams and see the symbolism, and then it's like, oh, okay, you'll start to get messages from the past, the future, all kinds of things. So
Yeah. So
yeah,
let me,
it's
so
different.
I was curious about this. As someone who is a dreamer and very spiritual, what has been, I guess, in a sense, an aha moment that you knew you were going to be led down this path of spirituality? Like, did you have something specific where you're like, oh, no, I need to follow this?
Yeah. Was there a specific moment? Honestly, it wasn't really a specific moment. I feel like ultimately, because of the path that I went through and like what I went through in my life, like what to be transparent. So when I was living in California, those were probably some of the toughest years of my life. I went through like addiction. I was battling addiction. I was battling toxic relationships. I was battling depression. And I got to a point where I almost really lost myself because I had major issues with self worth. I had major issues with understanding like who I was as a woman. And I started to, it was one night where I drank a little bit of alcohol. Like I drank some alcohol, and it was like a little sip. Like it was crazy. It was like a little sip of alcohol, and for whatever reason, my body just said no. Like my body just rejected it. I couldn't drink anymore. So that one night, I drank a little bit of alcohol, literally passed out. I had to go to the hospital, and I woke up in the hospital just like, I can't live my life like this anymore. And I just had, when I was in, like, because I remember being in the car, and like the guy who was taking us to the hospital, he was like, he was talking about spirituality. He was talking about God. He was talking about all these things. And I thought I was going to die, to be honest. I was like, oh, so this is God calling
me. God is calling me home.
God
oh, my God. Lord.
But then, we get there and, I don't die. So I'm like, okay. But
Praise
I felt
God.
like that part of me died. Like that chapter of my life died. That's when I really discovered spirituality. That's when I really discovered like the power of God, the power of the goddess, and understanding my divine like rights and my divinity, like as a woman, like what that even means, like what that's all about. So I don't think if it was anything, it was probably that moment where I got to my breaking point. And then from there, like I said, my body was super sensitive. I couldn't drink alcohol. I couldn't eat certain things. It was literally like, it was kind of like, girl, you're not doing this no more. Like, I don't feel like I had a choice. Like,
yeah,
you have something to do. You cannot do that if you are not living the way that you're supposed to live.
I feel like spirit is always, God is always giving us that nudge, because I've had this same experience where, I remember when Ciroc Peach was like the thing to drink back in the day, and I would always drink it and I could not do it anymore. It was like one day I took a little sip and it was like instantly my body rejected it. It was like no more. So even the addiction, talk about just how pulling yourself out can help you, like ultimately. What advice would you give to somebody who was battling whatever kind of addiction it is, and really seeing the light and getting out of that?
So I think the easiest way to actually confront addiction or any recurring issue that we see in our life is to always go within. A lot of the times we like to put band-aids on issues and we're like, okay, well, we're going to just do this or take this pill or, don't do this anymore. But what we really need to confront is the underlying reason for why we are doing these things in the first place. If you're battling with addiction, you're covering something up. You're trying to numb something in you. You're trying to get away from something. So the first thing that you need to see is, what are you trying to get away from? What are you refusing to feel? What are you refusing to actually look into and step into within yourself? What is so scary there? What is behind the surface? Because once you realize that and see it, you realize that it actually doesn't have that much of an effect on you, that it actually isn't as big as you thought it would, but you got to confront those emotions. Most people have underlying traumas, underlying feelings, old suppressed emotions that they just haven't dealt with. So once you go there and actually confront those things, they no longer have power over you. The addiction doesn't need to be here anymore.
Yes.
You don't have
Absolutely.
to. There's nothing to run from.
Do you feel like Callie contributed to like that path of you having that experience of like you're not drinking anymore, or maybe it like triggered something within you? Do you? Because I'm a big believer, depending on where you are and the people you're with, something can trigger and set it off. So do you feel like Callie contributed anything like that?
Yeah, I have an appreciation for California. I have a love hate. Like I said,
me too, girl.
California threw me through the ringer. But like I said, it helped me become the person I am today, right? Mm-hmm. That knowledge, it gave me that wisdom, and it kind of was like, boom, you're gonna get you in alignment. So it's actually funny. I used to, have little relationships with men at the time, and the men I would attract, they would actually be very spiritual or very healthy or super into like, not eating meat and stuff like that. And I used to make fun of them. Like I used to just be like, what are you doing? Like, but to be honest, it was actually a lot of men in my life in general who actually introduced me to things. That's why I love masculine energy. I always will appreciate masculine energy, and I believe that masculine energy affirms your femininity. Like it really does, because the right men came into my life and would introduce me to things and show me different things. And, I discovered like, oh, okay, it definitely was the people and the culture and the different things and it's funny, at the time, I'd be hard-headed. I'll be super hard-headed, like, but I would still have that appreciation. Even when it comes to business, like, I wouldn't have started my first business if it wasn't for the men in my life just being like, hey, you got this, you could do this. I'm like, no one's gonna pay me for that. What are you talking about? It would be like the men in my life would be like, no, go out there, do what you gotta do. Come on. Like,
Yeah.
so I definitely think that California relationships are all mirrors of like what it is that you need to continue your spiritual evolution and growth in this.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk business.
Yeah.
I have a lot of questions, but I just want to sit and bask in all your wisdom.
Yeah.
So you speak of, again, um, in a sense, self-growth practices for women, spirituality, sensuality,
Mm-hmm.
being magnetic, and attracting the abundance that you desire. So how have you been able to structure your business in that market?
Yeah.
Like, how did you even go about that? Because I'm sure, for me at least, I had to go online and really do some research on, like, well, who's really looking at personal development? Is that even going to be a niche that I should go for? So, how did you structure your business when all things femininity?
Yeah. Like I said, it was honestly like so my boyfriend at the time, he was like, Jaelyn, like, look, you need to have a product and just do it. And I was like, okay. But and I had all my limiting beliefs. I had all my stories that I had, all my stories around, oh, I'm not worthy, no one's gonna buy it, or anybody even into that, da 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 da, like who cares? But once I got through all of that and like actually did my money inner work and stuff like that, I realized that business is super simple. Literally, it's just have a product that helps someone with a particular issue that you can help them with. Like that's it. Like have a product, some way to help someone out, and then you get money.
Explain to the people who have no idea what a goddess coach is, explain to them what that is.
Yeah, a goddess coach is someone who helps to activate their feminine energy. Like I activate people's feminine energy, which in plain terms means I help you realize that you are worthy, deserving, and therefore you get to attract whatever it is that you want. So I specialize usually when it comes to like money and luxury, as well as like dating and like relationships, because I feel like those topics, for what I've seen in my life and other people, they go hand in hand. Like when we're having money problems, we're usually having relationship issues or like, receiving exactly what we want and feeling worthy of that. It goes hand in hand because it has everything to do with how worthy we're feeling and what we're projecting out into the world. So, goddess coaches, we're going in and we're like, okay, let's relax. Let's get back into ourselves. Let's realize who we are. Let's do some inner work. Let's heal. Let's release these limiting beliefs so we can actually be the person who attracts what it is that we want and chooses things that are only in alignment
Yes.
with our energy and what we desire.
Yes. Do you
Yeah.
ever have clients who come on who literally are like tomboys?
Yeah.
They've never put on a lick of makeup, but they're like, I want to be like this. I want to tap into this.
Yes, definitely. I've attracted clients who could be like, I have no idea with any of this world, but I love it. There's something that you ooze that I just need, and I know it's inside of me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so yeah,
Yes.
for sure. Also, I have clients who maybe they're actually super uber feminine, very, very, very feminine, especially with the money piece. I realized that there's always a yin and a yang, a masculine and a feminine to everything, right? I also attract a lot of very feminine women who are very like, I don't know, like the politically correct term, but they could be really ditzy or really just like, I'm
Super
so
dainty and everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then maybe, but then they're like, girl, I don't know how to pay my bills right now. Like, I'm not doing things right because they have no structure, right? They have no structure and they're not as grounded. So like I also work with clients who are like all the way up here and they're like, okay, girl, we need to ground this energy. All right, we need to ground this energy. And then clients who are very like in their masculine energy and they're used to doing things with struggle, grind, hustle, independence. I do things all on my own. And then getting them to a place where they can be supported and know that they can be supported and that it's safe to be supported. So Yeah.
Yes. I love how you talk about the masculine and the feminine. I've mentioned so many times, like, I would not be who I am without the males in my life, like the positive male influence in my life. And I'm actually wanted to be able to have guys just come on once in a blue moon to sprinkle that like masculine energy and give us that encouragement.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'm going to do that just yet. But it's like that's something that I've considered. So
Me.
just the conversation about not being afraid to like tap into your masculinity. Can we talk about that a little bit? Because I
Yeah.
think people get so confused when they hear that.
You can't be just 100% feminine and exist in this world. Just like anything in creation, it requires a masculine and a feminine. It requires the seed, it requires the egg. And
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the times we see now online, okay, yeah, this is how you get feminine, this is how you be feminine, this is how you be feminine. But without a connection to your masculine energy, babe, like in this world, you're not going to get anything done. Like you're not going to actually ground anything in reality. You're not going to be organized. Like you're not going to have boundaries. You're not going to know how to say no when like you don't want something or something's not right. You're not going to know how to speak up for yourself. You know, protection. Like that's what the masculine energy is about. It's protection, it's safety, it's security. So even when you're in your feminine energy and you are a goddess, if somebody comes to you that's not giving the energy that it needs to give, you also know how to be like, no, like this is not what I want. Bye. Like, or you know
Yes.
how to speak your truth. Like so many women, they're so closed in their throat chakra. Like they can't express what they really want. They don't express what they really need. And they kind of like suppress how they really feel inside and out. And that, like this place of expression and being able to speak your truth and authenticity, that is also a huge part of healing for women. Like, you know, your throat is actually very connected to your womb, like anatomically, like on a physiological level, on a spiritual level, the way they look. If you actually look at the anatomy, it's very connected to each other. Your voice and your womb space. So when we don't actually have both of those connected, it's not flowing how it needs to flow.
Right.
Yeah.
I used to think I got strep throat a lot because I wasn't exercising like my throat chakra. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, damn, am I not saying what I need to say? Because why am I getting it this often? I understand it's like a bacterial infection for strep throat, but I felt like it was deeper.
Yes.
Besides that, so okay, so let's talk a little bit relationships, right? You've mentioned toxic relationship, girl. I was there, so I
Yeah.
get it. How has toxic or just, I guess in a sense, toxic or just certain relationships molded you? And because I would assume that you haven't given up on love and you still welcome like men into your life. So talk
Yeah.
about just that, the aspect of like toxic relationships slash finding your like way back to love.
Yeah, a toxic relationship is nothing more than a reflection of a toxic relationship you have with yourself.
Woo.
And so, you know, to be honest, like there used to be times in my life where I would feel bad about certain things, like, oh my gosh, like why did it's his fault, like he did this to me, he did that to me, it was always him, right? Or like he cheated on me, so therefore this, that, and the third. And then I got to this point where I realized that these are things that I'm choosing. These are things and people and that I'm choosing. And I got to that place where I realized it is not them, it's me. And then once I kind of took that back and took that energy back, took that power back, it was really this deep dive into getting into like, okay, why am I choosing this? Once I realized why I'm choosing it, because of my own past traumas, because of my own history, then I'm like, okay, I don't have to choose this anymore. I don't have to make this my definition and subconscious definition of love anymore. I'm going to upgrade it. And before, I'm going to be honest with you. Yeah, the idea of like safe, healthy love felt really boring. like it felt like,
Okay, let's talk about it. That's real.
yeah, it felt really boring because my nervous system was so used to all the drama and so used to
Mm.
security. I didn't feel safe with security. I didn't feel safe with security itself. And
Been
I had to
there.
be real and look in the mirror and say, oh, literally go on a path of reconditioning my nervous system to actually be okay with being supported and to know that I'm worthy of it, and just change my relationship with safety and security itself. And
Wow.
now it's like I realize I'm not perfect, but I always realize how open I am. And a lot of the times those relationships, I noticed that my heart was doing this big ass wall, like big
Yeah.
wall where I'm just having this big wall around myself. And because of that, before I used to be in this state where I don't know if you know about the attachment styles, but I used to be this person that was very much so like super super connected, super dependent on them, super super dependent, like I need you, I need you, I need you for my sense of
Mm-hmm.
validation. And then I went on this point of I'm gonna avoid love and everything at all costs. Like I do not want to deal with that. I don't want to go down that route. I don't want to feel that
Girl.
fear. I don't want to put myself in that. It was like extreme, opposite extremes to
Yep.
now where I'm at. I'm in a place of just open. Like I'm
Yeah.
open, and even the kind of man that I date and that I attract is just so much better. And like I just,
Yeah.
I just love it.
I love that you even mentioned the fact of like security.
Yeah,
I've been in a space where I came from such a toxic relationship and so much drama
yeah,
to having a guy who was super consistent. And I didn't know what to do with that. Like,
yeah.
girl, I'm talking about we came back from Dubai 3 days later. I'm moving out of the condo because I was just so overwhelmed with the consistency and the
Yeah,
structure within the relationship. And I self sabotaged ultimately, you know?
yeah, yeah.
So, like, I don't know why we do that, but I've learned my lesson for
Yes,
sure, you know?
yes.
Man, that's so wild. So, you've mentioned online before that oh, yeah, you've mentioned online before that right now you're muting a lot of guys. If you're getting to the bag, right? And I'm muting.
Yeah.
So what does that even like so for someone who doesn't know to just block it out, what is that like to just mute when you're trying to get to your bag?
Yeah, so I'm very open to love. I'm very open to dating, and I don't know if you guys know, but I like rotational dating and the idea of like, you know,
What's rotational dating?
it's when you're dating multiple men, like you might be seeing multiple men, talking to them, not sleeping, but talking to multiple men and just really seeing, what is in alignment with you and being in a relationship with being in alignment with attracting like your person in a sense and
Yeah.
choosing them. And it's more traditional because you are in alignment with, hey, I'm a woman. I get to attract, right? I get to see what is the best thing for me and what is the best fit for me. And I'm not in this constant state of scarcity, 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 where I'm like, oh, this one person, they're acting all like whatever. Like, no, I'm open, just like a bird. If you see a bird, the bird's gonna sit. All the birds gonna come and build things for her, try to build a nest, try to impress her, this, that, and the third. Like that's the natural way of being, just like an egg. The egg sits, and then all the spermies want to come to her.
Girl,
And try to fit
yes.
in. Like it's the natural way of doing it. So I kind of live my life that way. I'm in that stage of my life right now. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it.
The animal kingdom will show you that. Like, if you really sit and watch Animal Planet, like, the guy is like pursuing her and they're always trying to like fight for her attention and
Yeah.
build things. Like, have you ever seen a bird like really build a nest, a
Yeah.
male bird build a nest for a woman just to show he got skills? So
Yeah.
we're in this space right now where like the trigger warning 50-50, 50-50, people talk about that and I cringe.
Yeah.
Okay. So for the women who no shade, enjoy the 50-50 and like to play Barbara the Builder, like do you have any words for that at all?
I feel like women do it because they feel like that's their only choice. They don't know that there's other realities possible. And because of that, we often choose something that feels safe and familiar because we just rather do that because we're just like, all right, well, I'm just gonna accept what it is. And really, that's what I'm saying. Most people don't actually go inside of their body and is like, what is truly in alignment with me? Like, if I could have it my way and I could have anything my heart desired, what would that actually look like for you? And most people, they don't actually look at their true desires. They kind of go based off of what other people tell them to do or what is the norm instead of honoring themselves.
Yeah,
So,
regurgitated information. That's what I hear all the time.
exactly. So I would tell them, like, okay, is this really what you want? Like, if you were to breathe into it and just like really relax yourself into that reality of you going 50-50 and you doing X, Y, and Z, is that truly what you want? Or is there something more to that? And then if that's the case, that's the case. But if it's not, then it's really about like, okay, what do I want? Like, if that's not it, then what do I want? And I feel like being provided for, being loved, being like, just floating around.
Yes.
Just like floating around, living life. I feel like that's my path. That's my energy. All the men that I date and stuff like that, just it's not even like in their mind to even think a certain way. They don't even think in terms of lack. Like, real abundance doesn't think in terms of lack. It just operates from a state of abundance. And I literally just made a video about this. Like, the more men actually give to a woman or their woman or just women in general, like, to be honest, the more abundant they ultimately get. Notice how the men who kind of have that energy and mindset of like, oh, I'm not going to pay for this date or this, that, and the third, they usually don't have much to give. It is actually the men who have a lot to give are the ones who are like, oh yeah, of course I want to provide. Of course I want to spoil my woman. Of course I want to give to her. So I feel like it's always, like I said, a direct correlation between what you have going on. If you're a woman, you're living in scarcity and you feel like, well, I'm going to have to do this 50-50 thing. I'm going to have to work and hustle and this, that, and third. That's the energy. You're going to attract a guy who's going to just be like, okay, yeah. Usually he also had a mother who grew up working multiple jobs and being a mom. So that's the norm. But once you shift to you don't attract guys like that. Like,
yeah.
you don't attract guys like that at all. Like,
no,
they
seriously.
honestly say, I'm going to build my castle and then I'm going to find my queen.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Build it with me all the time. Like, they're like, no, I'm ready. Like, I'm
yes.
myself together. I'm financially secure. Because I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing having sex and interacting with people? And they can't even, like, provide for themselves. Does that make sense?
Hear me? Yeah.
It makes sense, but it sucks. But I see a lot of women who, like, they're getting pregnant with people who can't even provide for themselves. So why on earth would you do that when they can't provide for you? They can't provide for themselves. And if you're having sex, now you're having a kid and bringing a kid into a situation where that kid can't be provided for either.
Right.
And there's already lack. And there's already scarcity. It just doesn't make any natural sense to me.
Yeah. I always talk about, and I like to have, my girlfriend conversations about like actions speak louder than words. I know when you're intimate and you're with your man, words are spoken a lot, but what are the actions like? How is he showing you, not just talking about he wants to show you the world, I want to give you the world. No, I'm showing you the world. Yeah. I'm putting you in position to win. Yeah. I want to see you thriving. Like, I feel like the more you grow and the more you experience different kind of men and different caliber of men, like you will naturally, or you should receive it. But it's a mindset thing as well.
It's your mindset. Like, if you don't change your mindset and your energy, it's like you will literally see the guy right in front of you, and a guy could try to give you everything in the world, but you will not receive it. You'll try to mess it up. You'll try to sabotage it. You'll try to start a fight because that's not your norm. You have to upgrade your norm. You have to upgrade your problems. You have to upgrade every part of you. Like, stop being so focused on, I don't even pay attention to it, to be honest. Like, I don't pay attention to the whole 50-50 thing. I don't pay attention to a lot of it because I'm like, whatever I'm paying my attention, I'm literally paying my energy.
For sure.
To it. I don't want that in my life.
For
And
sure.
it's so unnecessary. Because, like I said, when you date men who are just really in their masculine energy, they don't think like that at all. If anything, they actually see you as more goddess like when you actually ask for what you want, or when you actually like have standards for yourself. They like, of course you do. Because if not, if you accept bare minimum treatment and kind of just like, all right, I'm going to commit to something that's not 100% satisfactory to me, they're going to look at you like, oh, there must be something wrong with you. There must be something wrong with you. Like, you must not know who you are yet. That's what's subconsciously happening. So therefore, I'm going to treat you as such. Like, because if you're a woman and you're accepting this,
Right.
like, that's kind of the
Men
subconscious.
always see. They're very simple men. Like, I see, okay, this is how you're treating yourself, and you want me to treat you what, differently? Then you've never shown me this side of you. So he's just gonna act on what you're showing him and what you're presenting.
Every single time. Every single time.
Yeah. So
Literally.
let's talk about just stepping into womanhood, okay? Because you give
Yeah.
me big woman energy and I just love it, right? So, stepping into womanhood, have you ever had any like mentors or someone that sticks out in your mind that's like the example of womanhood to you and what you want to emulate?
Ah,
Have you had that?
so many. Honestly, I've had so many mentors, so many teachers, my mother even, like like even I would say so many. I would say it's always a mix. It was always a mix. I would say Mina, a little tad of Shira, um, a little tad of what's her name? There's so many people I grew up on. I see her face. But there was this lady I used to watch all the time. I've gotten coached by people. And then, even like I said, my mother, like learning from my mother and seeing her path that she went. Like, my mom, she used to be her masculine energy a lot when I was growing up. Very, like, a lot of, she had a lot of, because, I don't want to put my mom's business out there, but she went through a lot of stuff. And she had that in her, but then at the same time I saw her going through her own spiritual journey and through her own healing journey, and how she naturally began to blossom, how she naturally began to relax more, how she naturally began to be more herself and more into her energy and her beauty and just her essence. It was definitely giving that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, so right now I always speak about her, but Shanika Adams, to me, she has always given that like womanly energy and just
Yeah.
like sitting in her divine. And it's interesting. So for the women who don't have a tight relationship with their mom, like me and my mom, unfortunately, we don't have a very close relationship. She had me and my three brothers at the age, started at like pregnant at 12, birth at 13, 14, me at 15, my other brother at 16. She didn't know how, obviously, to be a mom, and she has never done her inner work.
Mm-hmm.
So she's kind of still in that fetus,
Yeah.
right? So you have kids, she has no idea how to like reach out to us and really make things right. So I'm not sure if you ever had friends who have mama issues or daddy issues, but like speak on like even getting through that part of your life so you can like break through that barrier.
I would say one of the exercises I always give to people at my events, at my retreats, and just in general is to just confront it. Like, literally, to close your eyes, to visualize your mom in front of you, and first things first, to see her happy, to see her in her divine energy. No matter if she's alive, no matter if she's hurt you, whatever the case is, just visualize your mother happy. Visualize her in her divine energy, and try your best to have as much gratitude as possible. Like, just closing your eyes and saying things like, thank you for doing the best that you can for what you knew at the time. Thank you so much for birthing me. Thank you so much for giving me life. Thank you so much for giving me energy. Thank you for showing me what to do, or showing me not what to do, like not to do and what not to do. Whatever the case is, just try to give a certain level of gratitude to your mother, because regardless, she's your representation and human representation of your divine feminine energy. So if you just honor her and just say, you know what, you'll notice that your natural abundance will start to increase naturally, because that is your fertility. Like, that is your sense of creation. So even if you don't even have to speak to your mother, but you can heal your mother wound even within yourself. Same thing with your father. So I always do that work with clients, and you know,
I receive that. Like I literally receive that. And I'm gonna practice that more and more. Because I give her grace, but I'm very big on like, you have a lot of kids. How do you choose not to be in their life? But practicing everything that you said, I know is gonna help for
yes,
sure.
it does. And
Yeah.
releasing those emotions that you have with her. Like, I also come from the spiritual background where I believe that, everything that we see, we also chose to some level. Like, even on a higher level, you might not know exactly why you came here and had this experience of having a negative relationship with your mom. But there's something that you had to experience and heal and learn in this particular life.
Do
So
you
it's
think we reincarnated and chose? Because I hear a lot of astrologers say that, like, you chose this time to be here. What a time to be alive, right?
absolutely, absolutely. I think everything is a divine decision. Like, I feel like our higher intelligence is just perfect. So I don't see any life like, there's no mistakes, there's no things. Everything is supposed to happen as it should. And that's how I'm also able to find peace and just kind of like, okay, it's all good.
Yes.
It's all good.
I received that. Okay, so I know you're a busy woman, but I have to ask before you go. Let's talk YouTube.
Yeah.
You have a beautiful platform on YouTube. And I am basically new to YouTube and the ins and outs. You said you started at 14 YouTube?
Yeah, I've been on YouTube for a decade.
Wow. Like I can only imagine back then. So, what has been like your biggest lesson when it comes to YouTube University? What has been your
Consistency.
greatest high and like your lowest low when it comes to YouTube?
Consistency, 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 consistency. YouTube is the one platform that you may not see results after a long time. And that's okay. Like, sometimes it'll click for people right away, but for most people on the platform, you have to really practice and put yourself out there and have to go through that phase where you might not see growth, where you might get 0 views, where you might not be entertaining. You might
True.
be, I put all this energy into this 10-minute video and no one looked at it. Right now we have short form where it's like, all right, let me just post something real quick and da da da. But with YouTube, you have to really be somebody who's engaging, be entertaining, really offer value,
Yeah.
and do that consistently, consistently, consistently. But the community that you build is unmatched, like
Yeah.
unmatched on any other platform. If they
For
follow you,
sure.
they're subscribed to you on YouTube, they love what you do and they're generally into you as a person. So consistency, and then at the same time as you're being consistent and you, let's say you have a video go crazy, your channel starts to blow up, don't hold on so tight to the views and all these things that if those start to go down or stuff like that, you start to lose your sense of self. Because that also happened to me where I'm like, everything's all high and I'm all good. And then when things would go low, I would lose myself. And I had
Yeah.
to learn, like, regardless, no matter what, I'm worthy. Regardless, no matter what, if you monetize correctly, don't just rely on a YouTube check. Monetize your own way, have your own businesses, have your own offerings, so that regardless of whatever is happening, you're focusing on quality over quantity. It's
For
really hard.
sure.
Yeah.
Consistency is huge, 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 huge. And I co-sign that.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, you post these videos and you're like, I just made 2 bands and I just woke up by just posting. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Why am I not doing that? What is that all about? Like,
Yeah.
so you talk about digital marketing
Mm-hmm.
a lot. How does one even get into digital marketing?
You have to digitally market. You have to market yourself by having some form of a product, having a course, having something that is automated and passive, like an online course or an ebook, whatever the case is, so that all you have to do is literally market it online, on Instagram, on YouTube, and now sales are consistently coming in. On YouTube, your content lasts so long versus on short form. my YouTube, I get like, like 200, 300,000 views a month on YouTube if I don't really do anything. So think about that. If I do a call to action every single YouTube video that goes out and I mention my course or I mention something that I'm offering, it's consistently getting in front of that audience and making sales again and again and again and again without me having, I just posted one video, but that video lasts a very long time. Same thing with my short form content. I post content, I share with people how to do certain things that give them value, whatever the case is. And it automated with systems and, ManyChat and different things so that it's constantly moving for me, whether I'm awake or not. I schedule my content out, it's done. Like, I'll batch it, it's done. I'll batch it, it's done. And sometimes I'll have conversations, but for the most part, it's like, I would probably say my business is like 80% passive most of the time.
Yes. So are you paying for ads?
No.
I was going to say, I never see like ads going, but you're always in motion.
Yeah. I never really have done ads or anything like that. It's all been organic traffic just by me being consistent and just posting, and especially posting when I have that fire. Like when I have that fire where I'm just like really, really, I have a lot to say or I have a lot to put out there. I just get it all done at once, and I post a bunch of content or I record a bunch of content at once. So it's like I never run out of like steam or ideas. But then there's certain times where I'm like, okay, I don't really have anything to say, but videos are still being posted anyway, right? Regardless.
Oh my goodness, I love that. Yeah. I absolutely love that. Okay, and also your retreats. When's the next retreat? I'm like, I gotta be there. When is the next retreat? What's next for Baby J?
Yes, my next retreat is going to be in Costa Rica, right? And it's going to be on September 16th. It's going to be a 5-day retreat. And here it's all about like awakening and activating your goddess energy. There's nothing like, I could tell you to do something and you could do it even within your own space. But when you learn how to do things in a group of women who are doing the same thing, you are immersed in luxury, you are immersed in spirituality. There's nothing like it. Like you come out a different person because you have that in your body now. There's no way you're going to choose things that are less than. There's no way that you're going to choose things that are not giving. Once you say to yourself first and foremost that I'm worthy, like I'm worthy of it and I deserve it. And you have that goddess energy experience where you're being pampered, you're being adored, you're doing the healing deep work as well in that space. Like, my retreats get a little crazy, but
I'm here for it.
Good. It's really good if you really want to heal and really release all the things that you haven't really let go of in your life thus far.
Yes.
Come to the retreat.
No, seriously, I'm going to make sure I put everything in the description because I absolutely adore. Okay, and so lastly, let's talk about the Goddess Club.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have not even heard anyone have something like this. Like, let's talk about the Goddess Club. What is that all about?
Yes, the Goddess Club is my like online goddess society and community where I'm consistently just dropping value. So you can go on there. You'll see people having conversations. You'll see posts from me. You'll see courses and classes. I go live. I just answer questions. We have a chat going as well where people are just consistently just saying hey to each other or just supporting each other. And it's just like a little goddess community of just, you learn, you get to have that, all the things that I can't really say online, like that might,
it's giving exclusive.
Yeah,
I love that.
Goddess Club.
Yes. Yes.
So definitely join Rich Goddess Club as well.
Oh my God, I love that. Okay, so Baby J, it has been a pleasure having you. I have to know, what is one thing that you live by? Like, what is your mantra when you get up? Like, what are you saying to yourself that you'll forever live by this?
Honestly, I'm enough and I'm worthy. Like, I wake up every morning, I write down what I want out of life, and I practice just opening my body and field to being like, I am worthy, I receive it, it's done.
Yes, Ashe. Yes. So y'all, give a round of applause for Baby J. Thank you for being here. Oh my gosh. Like, y'all let her know in the description or in the link below that you want her back. There's so much to talk about. And I'm going to vlog when I go to the retreat and be a part of the club. So I can't wait. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I truly appreciate it. And as always, Queen, make sure you pick up your daily devotionals and your Pretty Girl Progression journal. And as always, love yourself.